What is going on, Aztec Nation? Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Sons of Montezuma. It is, man, just when you thought it was over, just when you thought everything was, rounding out to a roster form, the Aztecs continue to reload. We're going to join together and recap a couple of the new additions, bring the guys on in. So stick around with us.
The wins.
We game time ready. Welcome to my gym where the crowd stays heavy. Keep the bus running cause this won't take long. 4 minutes left, here the show's still going strong. We game time ready. Opponents can't sleep when they leave. No Freddy, it's the Aztecs. In the house tonight. Hoop squad on deck. Who's next to fight?
Have the scores on the floor. It's Butler with 2 seconds. He's got to put it up. He wins it with the jumper.
And there's no doubt about it.
A San Diego State miracle.
Trailing on the break, I shoot the 3. There's nothing you can do with me. And ruthlessly, the crowd is telling you to get used to these L's you be taking every time you step into the V. IEJAS, cause we the best in home game energy. Got us ready to beat the rest. Last second shot, we down and need a play. 3 ball in your face, hi, DJ Gay. He's living to play, reliving on the replay. He's just leading the way, take MC double. Hey, Billy White, Malcolm Thomas, Brian Caldwell.
Okay. What's going on, everybody? We want to first off welcome you to the Sons of Montezuma. It is, Wednesday, April 16th. 15 days since Magoon Guat decided to take his name out of the portal, and it seems like ever since then it's just been a whirlwind of activity, of new possibilities. Everybody was kind of on their on pins and needles waiting to see what this offseason was going to look like, and I'm in complete shock right now. Fiend, what's going on, man? It's good to see you first and foremost.
Yeah, shock is an understatement.
Just a little bit of a flurry in this transfer portal offseason. I don't know, man. I really don't know how to react to today's news. Of course, yesterday, Latrell Davis, your guy that you had pretty much put out there before he was even in the portal. I think that was something you saw coming down the pike from San Jose State. And then today we got the news of Mr. Harrington out there from the high school ranks, a 4-star player in the LA area, LZ Harrington, which was a name that, okay, we kind of heard some rumors, heard some rumblings about that possibility. I don't know where to begin, man. I mean, this team, we talk about reloading, and thank you everybody for checking out our interview with Coach Luster earlier this week. That was just, I can't explain how fortunate that was to have that conversation. Just an awesome conversation with the coach there, our first. So thank you guys for checking that out. And after that conversation with him, Fiend, I was pretty set. I was like, okay, this roster is it's pretty good to go. I think you look at it from top to bottom. If everybody stays exactly how we're all hoping for, man, the sky's the limit for this program, for this team moving forward, despite the craziness of the transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff. So instant reaction today after yesterday's Latrell Davis and today's Mr. Harrington.
Well, I think LZ Harrington was a little more expected than Latrell Davis. I think we had thought that for those last couple of scholarships, they were going to grab some high schoolers to try to develop. And yeah, we had heard rumors since LZ Harrington decommitted from USC. I guess he was a Harvard recruit, commit, and then decommitted from Harvard, and then committed to USC, and then decommitted to USC recently. And there was some talk that he was on campus, so there was some rumors that he might be decommitting, and he actually did. And so that looked good in our favor. And finally got the commitment today. So that was more expected, I think, than Latrell Davis. Latrell Davis blew me away. I mean, because you're right. This is a guy that I watched him all last season play. I watched him play in the NIT for San Jose State, and I just absolutely loved his game. And he was a guy that I was hoping would jump in the portal, and he did. And I was hoping that we would get him after, the first couple of transfer portal targets and no one really jumping in the portal other than Goon. Well, you had Marshae Johnson leave, but he's not a guard. But you didn't have any guards jump in. I just thought that we were stacked at that position, and there's no way that we were gonna grab Latrell, Davis. And man, I'm really happy we did. He's a great player.
Had to make sure we put your receipts out there talking about him before he was even in the portal. I mean, it was just somebody that instantly jumped out to you in our 2 games, right? So let's go into each guy, because we didn't even talk about Sean Newman. We didn't even really get a chance to really go into his game and that addition in the transfer portal. I want to bring in Chino, Andrew, of course, back on the back end side of production, usually helping us out with Swish League, and he's been helping us out on the back end side, man. How are you doing, Andrew?
We doing good, bros. How you doing? What's going on, Finn? What's up, Mateo? What's up,
Good,
everybody?
man.
Checking us out on the live, checking us on the recording later on.
It is I don't know, man. I'm still in shock. I mean, okay, let's talk about Sean Newman Jr., because we didn't really even get a chance to touch on his game. Louisiana Tech transfer. That was the second transfer that State pulled in here in this offseason, of course, after Jeremiah Oden. And immediately after that pickup, I don't think it was the name that everybody was used to or expecting to hear at all. But when you start to peel back the layers, look at the stats, I'm sure Fiend looked at analytics, all that good stuff. You're looking at the game tape. And I mean, one of the top distributors in the nation this past season. He's an LA area kid, so he's coming back to Southern California after, a journey out there in Louisiana Tech. And you just begin to see all the qualities that he had, that he possesses, that he has. And you start to say, okay, like this could really dynamically change, I think, the offense. And so you got Reese coming back, you got Bird coming back, you got Magoon coming back. These are, players that are going to need the ball in their hands, but they're going to need to be in good positions. I think this past season, what we saw with the team was a lot of difficult shots at times being took, a lot of shots that at times we felt like, okay, it's not the best shot to be taken. And I think it gets glossed over not having Reese out there. Not having that guy out there to really stretch the court. You got to defend in all areas of the half court. Getting him back, but then bringing in Newman. So, Fiend, I'll throw it to you first, because I know you wrote an article about him, really detailed his game, his attributes, and his strengths, and what he's going to bring to this offense now that Boyd is in Wisconsin. So give us your little brief take on Sean Newman Jr.
Well, the first thing that pops out, and you mentioned it, was the assists. I mean, he's third in the nation in assists, and he's a low volume shooter. He doesn't look to shoot. He can shoot, not a great percentage from 3-point range. That is something that's going to be interesting to see when other teams defend us. Are they going to force him to shoot, take away the passing lanes, force him to shoot? We'll see. He's going to have to knock down some shots. He's got really good mid-range step back shot that he can get off. A little smaller in size, but he's quick, and I think he'll be a great fit for what we need with Reese coming back. You mentioned it, with all these guys coming back, that big dogs need to eat, right? So you got to feed them. You need a guy to feed them, and I think with having Boyd on the floor, that he takes a lot of shots along with the passing. He's a great distributor, but he also there's a high usage in the shot department with him. So you only have so many shots that you can put up per game. So it's good that we have a guy that is not going to take a ton of shots. He's going to look to find his guys, get them open, pass them open. We've got some great passers on this team now. And so I'm really excited to see how the ball moves around. And I'm just really excited to see what kind of offense we're going to run. We've switched it up last couple of years. We've run, different types of offense based on the personnel. And so I'm really excited to see what Battertelli puts together for next year.
I'm seeing in the chat, tall guards. Do we think we are guard heavy? I just want to make this point, and Andrew, maybe you can elaborate on this a little bit. After our interview with Coach Luster, he kind of was echoing those sentiments of having that size, those guards. He kind of referenced New Mexico. He liked New Mexico's wings and their size all the way around the ball. But with Newman, the thing that excites me is, okay, he may not fit in that mold of being a big guard, but I mean, you look at the size that we're going to have out there on the court. I mean, you got Magoon, you got 2 7-footers basically in Magoon and Majak, and then with all the other wing players, Bird, Reese. I mean, you got Odin. You got a lot of height and length out there on the court. So having a distributor that's going to be a little smaller, kind of referenced Darian Trammell and being able to, work off of picks and different things with big Jaden Ledee and AG and all those guys, Mensa, all those guys. You got anything to add on maybe that aspect of it, him being able to maneuver around the bigger wings and forwards?
I think he's gonna be fine. I mean, Fiend touched upon it. His assists, his stats on the assists, being one of the top assist guys in the nation, is gonna, he's gonna know those lanes. He's gonna know where to, he's gonna be able to facilitate, who to get the ball there. You got, this team, I know the past year we talked about being a bunch of dogs. We got another dog over here who's gonna know who to feed at the right time there and set them up for success. Like could he take his own shot? Sure, if he wanted to, but I think he knows where his strength is, and that's the assist. And that's we need that floor general who's going to be out there and be able to facilitate and make this offense flow. And I think there were times in the last season where you had flow, and then there were other times you kind of was like, okay, what are we waiting for? The shot clock's ticking down, and you're like, all right, let's get some movement here. So I think having Newman, a guy like Newman on the team here, is really going to kind of close those gaps. And I just think, I see on the comment here about not having too many guards. I think Joey's got a point there. I mean, the guards, there's that adage about the guards, and that guards take you deep into the tournament. If this talent, if we reach or even scratch a fraction of our potential, we're going to be very dangerous. And I know it's April 2025, but I'm just saying, never too early to think the possibilities that we're going to be dangerous come, February, get into conference play, you get into March, and you get, on our road to Indianapolis. That's where all ends next season, the road to Indianapolis, and nonetheless the last season in the Mountain West. So you know what? Let's load them up and burn it down on the way out. That's what I would say about that.
The one thing I will say about Newman is I just wonder if his stats might be a little bit inflated as far as the assists. They ran a lot of pick and roll at Louisiana Tech with him and Daniel Bacho, who's I don't know if he was All-American, but he certainly was like one of the best in his conference. Center, 6'11", 245. That guy, all he had to do was just kind of drop it over, to him, and he'd catch it and dunk it or lay it in. And so that's a lot of assists based on a guy that is really, really skilled. I'm not sure we're going to have that level of talent at the center position. I think Daniel Bacho is probably better than any of the players that we have. And so I just wonder how many assists he's going to be able to bring. He's a great passer, don't get me wrong, but I just wonder, that's the only thing I wonder is with Daniel Bacho having such a great player, were his numbers maybe a little inflated. Might people be a little disappointed if he's not, leading the conference in assists or something like that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because I think we've heard in years past, right, coming to state, right, everybody kind of you have to give a little to get a whole lot, right? So if that means shedding off a couple points per game, or in this situation maybe assists, and I know you're talking about just the level of competition or the level of guys around you, the same situations may not present or equal the same production stats wise, right? But I feel you, man. I think that ability is going to shine through, and it may not show on the stat sheet, but as a whole, the team play, banking on it, just everything rising up to that next level. So no, that's a great point. People shouldn't get overly committed to those stats with this program when it comes to that. So. Okay. I'm reading through the comments. I like Bill. Oh, good friend of the show. Thank you for watching, Bill. He says the Aztecs have added scoring besides athleticism, and that should empower the elite defense even more. Now, let's talk a little bit about Latrell, Fiend's favorite subject here, because you talk about that scoring, man. We saw it firsthand up close and personal with Latrell, and the more you begin to really get to know him, he was on with John and Jim earlier today. You hear that confidence, you hear the swag, you understand he's coming in. I'd like to say he is coming in with like a little bit of that sniper mentality, right? Coming in, bringing that heat. So 6th man in San Jose State, Fiend. 6th man.
Yeah, he came off the bench. I mean, he started for a bunch of games towards the end of the season. He wasn't coming off the bench, but for I think the beginning of the season into like mid-season, he was the 6th man on their team, and 10 points a game, 38% from 3. The guy is he brings a dimension to the game that I think we lost in Boyd, in that he can really take it to the hoop. He has a very fast first step to blow by his defender. And then he's really good in transition. I think we're going to get some transition points. Once he gets that head of steam and he gets moving, he is really hard to stop. I think that guy, I read something about him. He was a track star in Naples, Florida. Shout out Naples. That's where my dad lives. For his high school. 100 meters, 100 meter, like track star. Like the dude's got some wheels, and I think he was like high jump, long jump. Like he's very, very athletic. And so I'm really excited to see what we can do with him, especially on the defensive end, because his defensive numbers were not very good at San Jose, but that might be a product of their system and that they just don't really play great defense. Now you get him into our system, that dude, I watched the Mountain West Championships second round, I guess it was quarterfinal against New Mexico. And he took 2 charges. They should have been charges, but they call them blocks. But his ability to like step in front of defenders and how quick his feet are, like he's going to be able to get up into players and speed them up and harass them and make them do things that they don't want to do. And I'm really excited, not just the offense, but the defense. I mean, I put it out on Twitter today, Twitter X. I don't know if a lot of people saw this, but there's a video. I make comparisons all the time. I'm not saying he is this guy. Okay, I'm not saying he is this guy, but he has that level of talent where he can get there, but he's not there now. Okay, I don't want any misunderstanding later, saying that I compared him. But
the disclaimer is out.
The disclaimer has to come first. Watch tape of Davion Mitchell from Baylor when they won the championship in 2021. He looks like a carbon copy of Davion Mitchell. Not as great of a defender right now, but he could be. He's a great shooter, great scorer. I'm in love with picking him up in the portal. I hope we can keep him 2 years. I'm really excited to see what he can bring.
Okay, guys, you heard the comparison first. Like, okay. Not saying he's gonna be.
Yeah, I took a lot of crap for Jay Powell and comparing him to Jalen McDaniels. I'm not gonna do that again, but.
But you were. I take your side, man. You were in the right. It was about the use, the comparison of the use and the way the Aztecs.
Dutcher saw the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He ain't featured Damas for nothing. Come on now, gotta give him his credit. Just saying.
Oh, you can't stop him. Oh, you can't stop him. Only hope to continue. Chino, anything you want to add about Latrell? Because he is from overseas, from the UK, right?
That's right. our oldest ally, England, Leeds, the pride of Leeds, England. So it's nice to have someone from across the pond. I think, as a matter of fact, he might be our first British player to join the red and black, scarlet and black. Excuse me. And no, I just remember him those last few meetings coming to Viejas Arena, just seeing him. He's a streaky shooter, and he was lighting them up from three. I remember that it was one of those games. I think we got down like 19 or 20. It was just really, and Davis was one of those guys who just lit it up and just caused a point of frustration watching that in the stands. So it's going to be nice to be on the other side, to have him on our side, and deliver that to the opposing fan base. The opposing
He's from Leeds. That's
Leeds.
That's
Yeah.
pretty close to Sheffield, and I wonder if he ever watched Jeremy Hemsley play for the Sheffield Sharks when he was a pro player back in 19 or 20. That probably would have been around the time that he was there, in England. So
Probably.
if we ever
probably
get
right
him on the
before-
show, we'll have to ask him that.
That's a good call, man. That's a good call. Might have been right before he came over to the States, right? Because I think
Yep.
they're saying he came over.
He had that
both
one
his
season,
parents-
and he just balled out at Sheffield. Yeah.
Definitely go check out that interview with John and Jim. That was pretty cool to hear some of his background. Of course, he's coming over from San Jose State, guys. I mean, and Andrew, we were talking earlier. Is this? I couldn't think of anybody. Fiend, is this the first direct transfer from a Mountain West team that we've had? Really of significance. I can't think of a direct Mountain West transfer.
But we got Odin too, but he was from Wyoming, and then he went to a few other schools like DePaul, and then came over direct. I'm thinking he might be. I can't think of anybody else.
If you guys think of anybody, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I can't think of anybody to save my life right now. But I'm saying what's going on. We Are Aztecs says Davis came over to the U.S. at 16. So man. JJ O'Brien, that's a good one from Utah back in those days. I think that was right before Utah may have went to the Pac-12 or something like that, right? That might have been right about in those years. So that's a good call right there.
Joey's got the call.
Yeah, he definitely would have been. He would have been over there in England. I guess Sheffield's close. I don't know how the distance, but yeah, maybe he did see Jeremy. Maybe that's what inspired him to be an Aztec.
Joey, thank you for bringing up JJOB, because me and Chino were talking, and Andrew, you brought up the point that back in that year, right, when JJ was redshirting, right, because back then to transfer over you had to sit out a year.
That's
JJ
right.
O'Brien, he was I think Ziegler said he was the best player. Did he say he was the best player on the team and he was redshirting?
Best player in practice. I don't know if it was Ziegler or Fish kept saying, or the players. I just remember around that time saying, "Oh, he's the best player in practice, the best player in practice." And sure enough, once he sat out his year, came back, he was silky smooth. And it's funny. We talk about. I don't mean to pivot for a moment, but it's we talk about all these new guys. Great, we'll get to them. The one wild card I have in all this. If best case scenario, I know there's a couple days left in the portal. There's still the NBA draft tryouts, but it's I feel like the wild card in all this, all the height we have, where we got guys 6'2" and up for the most part. Majak, I feel like he's the wild card, and there's that hype, where he's been one of those guys who's done really well. I keep hearing, one of the best guys in practice. I have no analysis or stats to back it, but if it's anything like the hype that JJ got, going from being the best player in practice and coming in, I don't know, and to have another 7-footer doesn't hurt either. I'm manifesting.
Like that attitude. Yeah, man. It's just gonna feed into the hype, into the buildup of the potential of what this team and this program is continuing to do, man. I mean, I can't tell you guys, again, go back and watch the interview with Coach Luster. I mean, I walked away from that thing. I know you did too, Fiend, because we were texting the days after, and it was just man, you're just riding a high off that interview and just understanding, okay, they have their challenges ahead of them with the NIL and the transfer and all that stuff, but the proof is in the pudding, and those foundational blocks are being built. So, hey, this isn't any other. This is I don't say this without just got to promote Mesa Foundation, right? You guys see it up there in the top left corner. I don't want to let this episode go without that saying. Got a couple days left. A couple days left. A lot of you guys in chat are wondering, okay, does all these additions mean somebody's gonna leave? Not necessarily. I mean, I'm hearing different things in the community that, hey, everybody's coming back. Fiend, you've been warning us. Until that portal is closed, expect the unexpected. Don't be surprised. And I think with Coach Luster, he says, he's constantly looking, keeping an eye on that portal. That all-seeing eye, right? So there's only one way we can, as fans, ensure that this team sticks together, and that's it. Aztecs Reloaded. And they are reloading. That is for sure. Okay. What? Everybody's talking about Majok after that, Andrew. Majok's going to come in and rebound. Majok has hype from practice. Practice?
Talk about practice.
Do you guys think
These
we're going
practices are going to be crazy?
Do you think you guys think we're going to try to recruit a big? I mean, I hear all this talk about us trying to get another big guy. I'm trying to figure out right now with the guys that we got how we're going to get minutes for everyone. We've got at least a 10-man. If you put in, Majok, that's an 11-man rotation. We don't go that deep in our rotation during the year, and it always shrinks at the end of the year.
Did we go 10-man in the national championship year? 22. Did we go 10? I think we went like 9 deep, right? 8, 9.
We usually go 9. We usually go 9 or 8. But you look at all the teams like in the Sweet 16. I don't think any of them go past like 8 or 9. That's it, And so I'm just wondering how we're going to get all these minutes, and is there going to be someone that steps up and wants to redshirt because maybe we have a glut of guards right now, and there might be more opportunity next year. And I heard some talk possibly of maybe Latrell Davis redshirting a year and getting adjusted to the defense at San Diego State. It helped out a guy like Malachi Flynn when he came in from Washington State. He sat out a year, learned the defense. Jaden Ledee, he sat out a year, and got 2 extra years. In his last year, he was, All-American. So, without that COVID year, without that extra COVID year, I think red shirts become more considered and more of a premium because you don't really want to blow that year on something that you weren't playing that much or you only played a few games.
Well, when we look at the roster, and I know some people have been asking how many scholarships do we have available. I mean, I think there's only one left, or did that get wiped away with Mr. Harrington? Because LZ Harrington, the 4-star latest signing, he joins with Tay Simmons as the 2 freshmen that are incoming on the squad. By default, your brain thinks, okay, these guys are going to redshirt. They're going to end up redshirting, just like how Saunders and Bird did that championship year run. When you had a stacked roster, these 2 talented young guys, okay, you saw it paid off for them. You redshirt, you get to play a little bit every day in practice, get better. You make a natty run, and I mean, it ups your game that much more being around in that environment. So right off the bat, I'm thinking those 2 freshmen obviously would redshirt.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my guess. Majok is already redshirted, so he can't redshirt another year.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't get playing time, that's a year gone. We'll see. Again, we don't know. Bird has been, in some of the mock drafts in the 2nd round. If he gets a combine invite, there's a chance he could go pro. I know that's his dream. So is he ready? I'm not the one to really decide that, but some of these teams don't take players based on whether they are ready now. They take them based on what they think their ceiling is going to be, in a couple of years. And so Bird could get a combine invite and decide that he wants to stay in the draft, and that would open up some more playing time for other guys. It would hurt us because just everything that he brings to the table offensively and and defensively, but good for him to get drafted. We'll see. There's a lot that needs to be decided. Again, we've got less than a week here in the portal. We'll see what shakes out there, but it's good to have some insurance just in case there are some surprises.
What did the great Yanni Wetzel say? No ceiling, sir. I think that's. I think we can apply that here. I'm just saying. By the way, Fiend leads to Sheffield. The magic of Google. It's about 15 minutes. So leads to Sheffield. It's like you got to go south. About 50 minutes, 36 miles and change.
Well, that's not bad.
The more you know.
Oh, DJ Dub says Mr. Pope in Kentucky ran 11-12 rotation. It's possible. Some guys will only get 15 minutes if you do that. Got to add that little disclaimer, though. So, hey, I mean, it could be a situation like that. Kentucky, they did pretty well in the tournament. Of course, we all saw Mr. Butler do pretty well. But, man, you just never know. The depth is always a luxury. Injuries do happen. Lamont wasn't the healthiest towards the end of the year, and it really showed. It affected that team. No matter how much depth you had, 11, 12 deep, he was the best player out there for that team, man. And you just never know. You never know. Guys come in with hype, experience, but who's going to mesh together? If everybody does stay, it'd be wrong for us to say and project that they won't be a top 15, top 20 team as the roster stands now. We're just holding on for dear life, though, Fiend. That 22nd portal day, and then I believe what is June 15th for the NBA draft. As far as Bird and Magoon, I got people in my ear. Hey, man, I'm worried that they're going to be continuing on in the draft, or I think they're going to go. If that happens, it happens. And
good for them. Yeah,
absolutely. We want that to happen. That's a healthy sign it's a great sign for a healthy program when you got guys that are on that draft board list being projected for, round 2 or higher. So
you have to look also at how many of the guys above them, because NIL has changed how players can get compensated while they're in college. There are guys in the second round or even the top of the first round that might be able to get in as much in NIL money where they feel like it's worth it for them to come back for another year to college and to improve that draft stock. And that just bumps guys like Bird and Guath further up the draft board. And, the downside with NIL from San Diego State's perspective, where we really, we have great support from Mesa, and we're doing an awesome job, and we're increasing the budget, this year significantly, but we still are not able to compete on the likes of these blue bloods and to offer those like multi-million-dollar contracts that would compete with a first round, late first round, early second round contract. So there might be more incentive there where it's like, well, it makes maybe monetary sense to go and to start your clock early in the NBA to try to get that second contract and just to focus on basketball and develop, so we'll see how it all shakes out, but good for them if they do get drafted.
Any thoughts on that, Andrew? My gut tells me Magoon's coming back for sure. That's what my gut says. I don't think you decide to get out of the portal and come back knowing, to start your professional career sooner. But I like that take, though, Fiend. I mean, that's an excellent point business-wise, thinking business-wise. Okay, is that something you want to put yourself at this young age? Do you want to start that clock? And we talked about it, when we heard Magoon was leaving. It was like, you just don't want those regrets, starting that business professional clock so soon when you don't feel like you've experienced everying.
Fiend talks about it. Talked about it. The brotherhood, the story of Jamal and the brotherhood and being with his brothers. I think that's one thing you got to look at as a kind of a factor there, because once you move on, once you move forward, you move on. I don't know if you ever get that back. That's the thing.
Yeah, man. And look at Jamal and Kawhi now, just chilling at the Padres games, just smiling.
Behind home plate. living their best life. Good, and they deserve it.
Tatis coming up,
Yeah.
dapping up. Everybody's just, oh man, talk about the vibes at the Padres. Good Lord. 12-1. 12-1 at home.
Yeah.
Gotta
That's
love
right.
it. Gotta love it.
2 out of
So
3
I
against
think
the Cubs.
that brotherhood definitely has some value, and this team seems like they're very tight. This
Yeah.
collective group, they seem like they're a very, very tight group, and that's just a product of the culture and everything that we talked about in that interview with Lester.
It's
all love in San Diego.
that's a common thread too, and I know that's that's like the lot. That's kind of been the definition of our program. But you look at those teams that have gone deep. You look at that 10-11 team with Billy and those boys, and you look at the 13-14 team with X and those boys, and then the 19-20 team, the one that will always question ourselves forever with Malachi, and it's and then it's you kind of see this team, and it's like, man, we're going to be able to run hockey shifts, if we keep but I like the fiends say, those that key date though, April 22nd, the clock is ticking, like until we hit past the 22nd, and there's no chance for any more movement. You always leave that in play.
We lost 2 guys last year in the last week of the portal, so we're into the last week right now. So don't mean to be the downer of this group, but I'll feel a lot better when our team is intact on the 22nd or 23rd.
Oh, what's new? If Mike was here right now, he'd be saying, give it a rest, bro. Give it a rest, bro. I have to put the sound effect in there. Well, before we start winding things down, that chemistry is everything with this team, regardless of who's going to be there at that finish line when the portal closes and everything shakes out. It's really going to be all on chemistry. The Padres got the chemistry. SDFC has got the chemistry. Of course, now I got to give my little shameless plug because, guys, if you haven't checked out, we actually have a great deal. Of course, SDFC, our El Flow episode went live this morning talking SDFC and Espanol, so for you Spanish speakers. But also right now, guys, another team that, hey, we got to give them love. Major League Rugby here in town, the Legion. They are contending amongst the tops of the Major League Rugby season this year. And right now you can get 20% off game tickets with just go to sonsofmontezuma.com, click on that banner ad, and it'll take you there to get your tickets 20% off. Just use the Zuma offer. That is what we got here for you, 20% off. They play this Saturday night, 7:30 against the 7 o'clock, against the Utah Warriors. That's a big game. And they're playing over at Torero Stadium. So we got a packed weekend this weekend, guys. It's Easter weekend on top of everything sports-wise. Of course, we're going to be down there at Snapdragon Stadium. I'm going to be down there. I hope I see you guys, I'm sure. 1 o'clock for Aztec Fast Showcase, the spring. It's not a spring football game, but it's like a showcase of skills and all that good stuff. Good introduction for the football team at 1 o'clock. Going to check that out. Of course, Padres at 4:30, and then the Legion, 7 o'clock. So, hey, I might have to go check out that game. It's going to be a long day of sports.
It's a lot of sports,
San
man.
Diego.
San Diego right now. Good vibes.
Yes.
Good vibes. That's the key. It's always the good vibes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, okay, guys. I know it's coming close to the end of this episode. I want to thank everybody for joining. First and foremost, we just wanted to run through all these new additions. I mean, it's overwhelming. I don't know how the coaches are doing it, making time, recruiting, talking with us, and just really appreciate all the fan base checking in and approving of our interview that we did with Lester. That was a thrill. I can't say that enough. Of course, Mesa Foundation presenting that opportunity. And I know we got a long off season to go, man. I mean, is it basketball season yet? I saw Justin asking that question already. But
Swish is almost here. A couple more months. We got Swish.
No.
We're
the home. We're gonna be the home of that, right?
Absolutely, official broadcaster of the Swish League, and I'm telling you guys, it's the best place to get your first looks at not only San Diego State incoming new players, but USD, UCSD. I mean, quality Point Loma Nazarene basketball. There's a lot of local guys that are going to be making their first appearances here in San Diego at the Swish League. It's San Diego basketball, you can't beat it. It's only growing and it's not going to stop. Absolutely not.
Intimate environment too, and you get to you get real up close, real up close and personal. Like it's a really cool kind of experience, and you got people watching internationally too. I remember when we ran it the last season. Chandler Parsons checking in all the way from I don't know where it was, Europe or something like that, or wherever he was halfway around the world here. I'm saying people are watching it though. There's a lot of love out there, so shout out to
I
them.
love Swiss League. I've been going since the first year when we had the 30-2 season. All those guys, Yanni, that was the first year of Swish, and so getting a chance to look at them, Trey Pulliam, and just ever since you're right, it's a great opportunity if you want to get out and see guys firsthand. The first glimpse of him, I got to see Goon do a whole breakdown of tape on him when he first played. It is really cool, and so we hope to see you out there. Is it going to be at Lincoln High again?
We're gonna run it back at Lincoln High. They're really building something strong there in the community. Of course, it feels like a community event. Anytime you're down there, you got people coming out, and man, it's just a great sports, local, something up close and personal, like what Chino says, man. I can't wait.
The Hive.
The Hive.
Live at the Hive. You're darn right we are going to be live at the Hive.
Can't say it enough. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys all for joining again. Stay tuned. Like we said, Swish League coming up. More articles, more episodes coming out, and we'll be jumping into some more sports as well. Baseball, softball is ongoing, so we'll get that going. And just appreciate everybody. So we're gonna call it a night. How you guys feeling? I'm still in shock, guys. I'm still in shock.
Feeling good. Good vibes, good times. Always a pleasure to dust it off here, get in front of the camera once in a blue moon here. So hold it down for Mike. Just keeping the seat warm here. Trying to get too comfy. We'll give a seat back.
There we go. Thank you guys. Thank you, man. Everybody have a great night. sonsofmontezuma.com. Go Aztecs. See you on Saturday at the Aztecs Fast Showcase. Let's go.
Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.